love giving you guys new recommendations, and I've always wanted to show off my collection because it literally spans hundreds of copies, from CDs to vinyls to cassettes and all sorts of great merchandise, and I really wanted to do a series where I show off my collection, update you guys on my collection, and in no particular order, in a very laid-back, homey type of atmosphere, show you guys the stuff that I've collected for the better part of a decade plus, and hopefully get you guys into some new music, show you what some of these releases look like on physical copy if you are ever interested in getting them for yourselves. And yeah, these are in no particular order. I have 10 records to get through, and let me know if you'd like to see this series continue, because I can do 10 records every single episode, and they're going to span all across genres, because y'all will come to know that I have a very clusterfuck type of collection. I don't really sell myself to one specific genre style, but starting off this from, I believe this is, Amputated Vein Records, we have Parasitic Ejaculation with Isolation. And this one is I've always really liked the packaging for this. Amputated Vein actually sent me like a package with some releases, so we're probably going to get to some other ones, not sponsored or anything, obviously. This is just a very nasty, brutal death metal type of release. It is extremely grimy and mud-caked. It has that sort of slam metal style to it. It gives you exactly what you would want from a band called Parasitic Ejaculation. I wouldn't say it's too, like, over-the-top, like, creative or anything, and it definitely does fall into that category of, like, that really over-the-top slamming style, very chuggy. But the riffs are nice. It runs 12 tracks, and there were some surprisingly technical parts of this record. So if you're looking for, like, some great brutal death metal music, some slam metal music, check these guys out. I think they're definitely worth your time and are a really great little band. So next up, I believe I have some more releases from this band, but I couldn't, like, find them all, so I just wanted to include 3 of them for right now. So we have The Anthropocene Extinction by Cattle Fucking Decapitation. This was the very first record that I owned from Cattle Decapitation because I was absolutely blown away when I heard it. I had heard of, like, The Harvest Floor, which I have on physical copy, and, like, To Serve Man and stuff, but when I heard The Anthropocene Extinction, I was just absolutely blown the fuck away. And I went to my local record store, which actually had a copy of it. I believe they only had one, and it was the only release they had from Cattle Decapitation. So I was really excited and really happy that I had the chance to get this thing. It is in some pretty, like, it's some great death grind music. Like, anyone who knows Cattle Decapitation knows that they do that technical style of death grind fantastic, and this was really the album that made me fall in love with them because I'd always known of them. I'd always heard their music before. I'd heard people talk about them in conversation with, like, great vocalists from Travis Ryan and that type of thing, and just really tight technical death metal bands. And I had known of them. They were on my radar, and I'd listened to them before, but it wasn't until the Anthropocene Extinction, and when I went back to listen to, like, Monolith of Inhumanity and The Harvest Floor, that I just went head over heels for this band, and they are one of my favorites. I also have Death Atlas on physical copy. I think this is one of their best records and one that gets pretty underrated, because I feel like nowadays, when you think of, like, when you think of Cattle Decapitation, I feel like people usually will praise, like, the Anthropocene and Harvest Floor and Monolith of Inhumanity and stuff, but I think Death Atlas is just such a cataclysmically fantastic record. I think they embody that spirit of the end of the world so fucking well. Like, I've said before that, like, the really over-the-top, just, you are fucking dead, we are dying as a species. Like, it felt like the proper escalation point, like the fever pitch of everything Cattle Decapitation had been writing about up until that point. Because they'd always been very anti-humanity. They'd always been very cynical and pessimistic. But Death Atlas really felt like that peak point where you're ending, like it is coming to an end. It is the finality. The cause of humanity's actions is leading to this end of the world. And I just love that. I love that concept. I love how they embodied it, and I think it's a fantastic record. A release that I actually got secondhand, but I was really happy to pick up because I don't think it's printed as much as it once was, because it was a like a 2018 compilation, is Medium Rarities. So this thing is, as you can see, is like missing the side thing. Medium Rarities I actually got online, and I was really lucky to get it for fairly cheap after it sold out when it first got printed. But it looks like this. It is a compilation of a ton of different music from Cattle Decapitation. Like, let me see how many tracks are on this thing. There are 25 different, 25 different things. And it's from, obviously, different cattle decapitation releases. And super happy to have this in my collection because I don't really see this release talked about that much. And if you want to get into cattle decapitation and you want to hear like what they are and get an idea of what they write about, what they sound like, this is a great sort of touring of the eras. So next up, one of my favorite releases of all time, we got Fed Through the Teeth Machine by The Red Chord. So this was actually a gift from someone close to me, and I fucking love The Red Chord. I think they are by far one of the most underrated, like, deathcore bands. I just think they don't get talked about enough. I feel like they deserve a lot more credit, and I've always really loved this booklet. I haven't really been shown the booklets because they're just booklets for the most part, but I've just always loved how in-depth they went with the design of every single page here. And especially, like, it, if I remember correctly, it has this, like, really cool fold-out where, like, if you open it in a specific way, it'll, like, fold out into this. And I just always loved how much they put into designing this booklet and just designing this album in general. This is a criminally slept on record. And for being so extreme, it literally debuted in, like, the Billboard Top 200, but I think it's been largely forgotten over time. And I think the Red Chord in general, just because of their minimal output, it just hasn't gotten the attention it deserves, and I think this band really deserves to be checked out more because the Red Chord are fantastic and one of my favorite bands. If you're wanting, like, an amazing, like, slamming brutal deathcore record and like a death metal record, Within Destruction, Death Wish, this thing is fucking phenomenal. One of my favorite slam releases. You're about to get to another one of my favorite slam releases, but it takes a lot for me to want to collect, like, slam music because I think a lot of it blends together, and I don't think this is the case at all. Like, this is like that Russian style of slamming tin can really over the top, just no frills, just unapologetically heavy and over the top. Like, it is a fantastic thing. I've always loved the design of this thing. Like, if you take out the disc, it has, like, this awesome artwork, and I always thought the CD just looks fantastic. Like, it's really well designed. Within Destruction, fantastic slam band, and if you like that Russian tradition of brutal death metal and slam metal, definitely check these guys out. Within Destruction are fantastic. Another one of my favorite slam releases, this came from, I believe, Gorehouse Productions. This was something that was sent, once again, in a bundle pack from a really nice person. This is Zup Apocalypse by Atoll. Once again, it's fantastic artwork. Like, even if you're not a big fan of, like, slam music, you gotta give it to slam metal that anytime you see, like, a slam band, you know they're gonna go over the top if they have the means and the budget and the dedication, because you see, like, this really, like, gruesome artwork here with, like, the logo and stuff like that, and this disc looks awesome. Like, it looks really fucking cool. This is kind of more of what you expect from, like, modern slam metal and brutal death metal. There's not really too much to comment on in terms of, like, new ideas or creativity, but I've just always liked the way that Atoll does it. They don't really pull any punches for making it as heavy as possible, and their production is like a 10-ton, like, skyscraper. It's like millions of miles high. It's humongous. Next one is Altars of Grief with Iris. This is another thing that was sent to me from Hypnotic Dirge Records. They sent me quite a few, like, CDs and vinyls in support of the channel, and Hypnotic Dirge, it is a great label. I actually have the CD, like, in my stereo, so I'm not going to be able to show you that. I actually forgot that. Altars of Grief, though, are a great, like, doomish gothic metal type of band, and you'll see a lot of that sort of desolation and desolate vibe from Hypnotic Dirge. They release a lot of, like, gothic metal, black metal, doom metal that is always very hopeless and symbolic of that sort of ideology and feeling. I really suggest Hypnotic Dirge, though, because they are one of the better labels for that type of vibe, and as someone who has always really enjoyed that type of music, you can see, like, it just kind of, it really has this just open sort of atmosphere to it, and it gives you a great impression of what you're going to expect. And Hypnotic Dirge is just a label that I think deserves a lot more credibility, because I think they do what they do very well. At a thrift store, I actually found Heritage by Opeth. Pretty underrated Opeth record. It just looks really awesome. Exactly what you would think. Like, it's an Opeth record, and anyone who is familiar with Heritage will know that it's the same sort of technical and awesome melodic sort of blackened and death metal music. It's Opeth, like, is hard to kind of pin down to a genre, but I love this, like, I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera that well, but it's like a holographic cover, so if you, like, look at it that way. And this is actually the, like, deluxe edition, I believe, because it also comes with a DVD disc. Found this at, like, a thrift store for, like, pennies on the dollar, so. And then finally, Permanent Destitution by Hissing. This thing is grinding, but don't get it mixed up for grindcore. This is kind of a really noisy release that's hard to pin down, because you could call it death metal, you could call it black metal, you could call it doom metal. It's very, like, Primitive Man-esque, like, Full of Hell-esque, just brittle, so, like, amazing. You would think this thing would be, like, really psychedelic with how it looks, but not in the slightest. Like, this thing is so ear-shredding and ear-splitting. I've always loved the design because it's just, like, so locusty. Like, not the band The Locust, but just locusty. Like, it has this quality to it that is, like, dripping with ooze, and I just love the aesthetic of it. And if you want something that is incredibly noisy, incredibly ear-splitting, and is going to rip your ears out and just put it on the concrete and scrape it out, I think you definitely should check this thing out. But regardless, those are the 10 releases that I'm going to cover in this video. Are you familiar with these releases, and what are your favorites from them? If so, would you like to see more parts in this series? Let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.